Hello viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching, yes, it's yours as well as my channel. So you all must be wondering, where has Ranjana ma'am disappeared? Yeah, I was a bit busy with my classes. So anyway, I'm back here again, and this time some MCQs, you all have your 10 marks MCQ, or rather 16 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 16, and out of that Merchant of Venice is also there. So Merchant of Venice, prose and poems. So in Merchant of Venice you have Act 3, Act 4 and Act 5. So I have brought some MCQs for Act 3 Scene 2. Act 3 Scene 1 I had already uploaded. I think it was last year if I am not mistaken. So Act 3 Scene 2, I brought some choice MCQs for you, and let me see how you all fare. Yeah, so let's start, but you know what's coming. If you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do, and don't forget to press the like button. And yes, I'm close to my 100k, and with all your support I'm sure I'll make it quite soon. So anyway, let's start. So the first question, I pray you tarry. Pause a day or two before you hazard. I pray you tarry. Pause a day or two before you hazard. So this is a line from the scene, Act 3 Scene 2. Someone says it. Who is the speaker of the above lines? The options are A. Nerissa, B. Jessica, C. Portia and D. Bassanio. So you will have to find the right answer and let me know. The answers I'm not giving now, it will follow after I finish giving you the questions. So in the meantime, you all can start working it out. So this is the first question. And the next one, who is compared to Alcides? See, some people pronounce it Alcides, some people pronounce it Alcides. So you can check in the nets, you can check in YouTube, there will be different pronunciations, so it's not a problem. You can pronounce it as you wish. So who is compared to Alcides? A. Bassanio, B. Atlas, C. Apollo and D. Phoebus. So the four options, Bassanio, Atlas, Apollo, Phoebus. So who is compared to Alcides? And after this, Bassanio says, what rather threatens than promises. So while going through the caskets, Bassanio says somewhere, what rather threatens than promises. A. The leaden casket, B. The gold casket, C. The silver casket and D. The bronze casket. What rather threatens than promises. Leaden casket, gold casket, silver casket, bronze casket. So which is the correct answer? Then the next one, whom does Bassanio welcome? Whom does Bassanio welcome? A. Graciano and Salerio, B. Antonio and Lorenzo, C. Salerio and Lorenzo and D. Portia and Nerissa. So whom does Bassanio welcome? So you have to select the correct answer for this one. The next one, what course of action does Portia suggest? What course of action does Portia suggest when she learns that Shylock wishes to collect his pound of flesh? What course of action does Portia suggest when she learns that Shylock wishes to collect his pound of flesh? There are 4 options. The first one, that Bassanio and his men disguise themselves and usher Antonio a safe distance away from Venice. That Bassanio and his men disguise themselves and usher Antonio a safe distance away from Venice. C. The matter be dealt with in a court of law. The matter be dealt with in a court of law. The third one, that Jessica plead with her father for mercy. That Jessica plead with her father for mercy. And the last one, that the bond be paid many times over. That the bond be paid many times over. So which one do you think is the correct answer? Go for it. And the next one is, why does Portia ask Bassanio to wait for a day or two before making his choice of the caskets? Why does Portia ask her suitor to wait for a day or two before making his choice of caskets? A. She wants to reveal him the truth of the casket. A. She wants to reveal him the truth of the casket. B. She wants to enjoy his company. C. She fears she might lose his company forever. She fears that she might lose his company forever. So why does Portia ask the suitor? Here we know that the suitor is Bassanio. So why does she ask him to wait a day or two before he makes his final choice? What does Bassanio say to it? Let me choose, for as I am, I live upon the rack. Let me choose, for as I am, I live upon the rack. What does the speaker mean by I live upon the rack? What does the speaker mean by I live upon the rack? A. He lives happily and contentedly. He lives happily and contentedly. B. He lives in a state of torture and uncertainty. He lives in a state of torture and uncertainty. And the third one, he lives in a comfort surrounded by wealth. He lives in a comfort surrounded by wealth. So the one which is the correct answer, you will write it down. I could teach you. What does Portia wish she could teach you? So teach you is within inverted commas. I could teach you, Portia says. So what does Portia wish she could teach you? Teach you is in inverted commas. A. She could teach him ways to break a promise. She could teach him ways to break a promise. She could teach him how to understand her better. She could teach him how to understand her better. And she could teach him how to select the right casket. She could teach him how to select the right casket. Easy this one. Next one, Portia. Beshrew your eyes. This is the next question. Beshrew your eyes. They have overlooked me. Portia curses her suitor's eye for they have. Why does she curse her suitor's eye? Portia curses her suitor's eye for they have. First option, cast a spell on her. Cast a spell on her. B. Absorbed her. C. Captivated her. Captivated her. So which one do you think is the correct answer? Who are the rest aloof? The next question. Who are the rest aloof compared to as the suitor walks towards the casket? So when Bassanio walks towards the casket, whom does Portia refer to rest aloof? These two words are from the speech of Portia. So whom does she compare as rest aloof? Option 1, They are Nerissa and the other attendants. They are Nerissa and the other attendants. B. They are the attendants in the room. C. They are like the Dardanian wives. So, whom does she compare the rest aloof to? So, this is a tricky one. Be careful about your answer. The next question. If the suitor is unsuccessful in choosing the right casket, what will the music sound like? If the suitor is unsuccessful in selecting the right casket or choosing the right casket, what will the music sound like? A. Music will be akin to the flourish of trumpets when loyal subjects bow before a newly crowned monarch. Music will be akin means similar, to the flourish of trumpets when loyal subjects bow before a newly crowned monarch. This is option 1. Your option 2, music will be similar to the song of the swan that sings only once on its watery deathbed. Swan song. Or music will be like the sweet notes that awaken the dreaming bridegroom on the morning of his marriage. So, which one is the correct one if the suitor is not successful or unsuccessful in choosing the right casket? And then the next one, the next question. Portia compares the suitor to dash and herself to dash. He walks towards the casket. So, as Bassanio walks towards the casket, Portia compares him to something and her to something. So, which are the two people to whom she compares Bassanio and herself? A. Alcides, Hesione. B. Jason and Medea. And D. Hercules and the Dardanian women. I'll repeat the options. Alcides, whichever way you want to pronounce it, and Hesione. B. Jason and Medea, and C. Hercules and the Dardanian wives. So, these are the comparisons. If Bassanio is one, Portia is the other. Portia and Bassanio, she compares Bassanio to someone and compares herself to someone. So, the three options. The leaden casket, next question. The leaden casket appealed to the suitor more because, or the leaden suitor appealed most to the suitor because. A. The leaden casket was visually appealing. The leaden casket was visually appealing. B. The leaden casket promised much. C. The leaden casket threatened rather than promised much. So, these are the options. Now, the next question. On what grounds had Nerissa promised to give her heart to her suitor? On what grounds had Nerissa promised to give her heart to her suitor? That means to her suitor is Bassanio. So, on what grounds had Nerissa promised? A. Nerissa would marry Gratiano only if he wooed her and promised her eternal love. B. Nerissa promised to marry Gratiano if he agreed to take her to Venice. And C. Nerissa vowed to marry Gratiano provided Bassanio's fortunes achieved her mistress. That means provided Bassanio was successful in marrying Portia. So, which is the correct option? The next question. What did the suitor discover on opening the casket of his choice? What did the suitor discover on opening the casket of his choice? So, what did he find inside? A. He found fair Portia's counterfeit and a scroll. He found fair Portia's counterfeit and a scroll. B. He found fair Portia's counterfeit And C. He discovered a scroll and the portrait of a blinking idiot. He discovered a scroll and the portrait of a blinking idiot. So these are the three options. One of them is the correct one. Next question. What did Portia give to her lord and with what promise? What did Portia give to her lord and with what promise? A. She gave Bassanio her ring with the promise never to part with it or give it away or sell it. Never to part with it, never to give it away, never to sell it. She gave Bassanio money, the second option. She gave Bassanio money and promised that he would use it all to save Antonio. She gave Bassanio money and promised that he would use it all to save Antonio. C. She gave Bassanio complete control of her house and assets, promising that he was the new master now. So you have to mention that one which she gave to her lord and made him promise something. So these are the three options of this question. The next one, when Portia talks or learns about Antonio's predicament, she suggests something. So when she says to deface the bond, Portia tells Bassanio to pay. So how much does she tell Bassanio to pay to deface the bond? A. 6,000 ducats. B. 12,000 ducats. And C. 36,000 ducats. Be careful. Read the book properly and then answer. Don't jump to your answers. Think and answer this one. And the last one. What does Portia suggest to Bassanio? Why does Portia suggest to Bassanio to hasten their marriage? She wants that he should hurry up and get married. Why? A. She wants Bassanio to become her lord, her king, her master. She wants Bassanio to become her lord, her king, her master. B. She wants Bassanio to leave for Venice with the money to save his friend's life. She wants Bassanio to leave for Venice with her money to save her friend's life. And she wants Bassanio to go so that she can live in quiet contemplation in a monastery 2 miles away. She wants Bassanio to go so that she can live in quiet contemplation in a monastery 2 miles away. So 3 options, which one is the correct one? So these are the questions from Act 3, Scene 2. So I am giving you the answers also in the latter part of this video, and before that I think there will be a short break and then I will come up with the answers. But I think you will have already solved the answers and you all can check my answers for confirmation whether you have gone for the right answer or not. Okay, so hello, welcome back for the answers again now. So who's the speaker of the above lines? The answer is Portia. So you know it very well and I'm sure you've got the right answer. For the next question, who is compared to Alcides? It's Bassanio. Portia compares Bassanio to Alcides. And what is another name for Alcides? He is actually the strongest man of his times, Hercules. The next one, whom does Bassanio welcome? It is Salerio and Lorenzo. Remember Salerio and Lorenzo? They had also come. The third person was Jessica. But for the options which you have got here, in that case it is Salerio and Lorenzo. What rather threatens than promises? So which casket? It's the leaden casket or the lead casket or the leaden casket. And the next one is, what course of action does Portia suggest when she learns that Shylock wishes to collect his pound of flesh? The answer is that the bond be paid many times over. This is what she is suggesting. Pay the bond many times over. So he expects 3,000 ducats, pay him many times over. This is what she wants Bassanio to do. And the next one, why does Portia ask the suitor to wait for a two before making his choice of caskets? Why does Portia ask the suitor to wait for a day or two before making his choice of caskets? Why? She fears she might lose his company forever. She fears she might lose his company forever, and that is why she wants that he should wait for a day or two before making his choice. Next question. Let me choose, for as I am, I live upon the rack. What does the speaker mean by I live upon the rack? So the correct answer, he lives in a state of torture and uncertainty. He lives in a state of torture and uncertainty. The next one, I could teach you dash. So what does Portia wish she could teach you? That means she could teach her suitor. What does Portia wish she could teach her suitor? So the correct answer is she could teach him how to select the right casket. So she could teach him to select the right casket. That means the third option. Portia, next question. Portia, beshrew your eyes, they have overlooked me. Portia curses the suitor's eye, for they have what? For they have cast a spell on her. So it is the first option, A, for they have cast a spell on her. Who are the rest aloof compared to as the suitor walks towards the casket? Who are the rest aloof compared to? So I told you the rest aloof are compared to, not the rest. Who are the rest aloof? Who are they compared to? So they are compared to the Dardanian wives. The rest aloof are Nerissa and the attendants, but the question is not that. They are not asking you the question who are they? Who are they compared to? That means who are Nerissa and the attendants compared to? So it is the Dardanian wives is the correct answer. Right? And the next one, if the suitor is unsuccessful in choosing the right casket, what will the music sound like? So it is B, because the A and C options, they are the ones when the music, when the suitor is successful, these music, either this or that will be sounded. But B is the correct option, because then the suitor leaves. Music will be similar to the song of the swan that sings only once on his watery deathbed. So it is said that the swan sings only before its death, and then it sinks into the water of the lake, pond, ocean, whatever it is. So that is why the last performance is called a swan song. It's not a swan song, it's a swan song. The pronunciation is swan. I've heard many of you all pronounce it swan. No, it's swan song. So music will be similar to the song of the swan that sings only one on its watery deathbed. So this is the second option, or option B. Portia compares the suitor to dash and herself to dash as he walks towards the caskets. He means Bassanio, he walks towards the casket, and Portia compares Bassanio and herself to Alcides or Alcides and Hesione. Hesione, the princess of Troy, who was offered as a sacrifice, and Hercules was going to fight the sea monster to save her. So Hercules' another name is Alcides. So Alcides and Hesione, option A is the correct one. Now the next question. The leaden casket appealed most to the suitor because the leaden casket threatened rather than promised much. So it's C. The leaden casket threatened rather than it promised much. The next one. On what grounds had Nerissa promised to give her heart to her suitor? So it's option C. Nerissa vowed to marry Gratiano provided Bassanio's fortune achieved her mistress. That means only if Bassanio was able to select the right casket and get Portia, then only she would marry him. She promised to marry him under this condition. So it's option C. The next one, what did Portia give to her lord and with what promise? So she gave to her lord what? A ring. And what was the promise? Not to sell it, not to lose it, not to part with it or to give it away. This is the promise she made him. So it is option A. She gave Bassanio her ring with the promise never to part from it or give it away. It's option A. And then we have another tricky question. To deface the bond, Portia tells Bassanio to pay how much? It's 6,000 ducats. First she tells him that give him the double the money and deface the bond. And if that is not enough, then she tells him to double the money and then treble it. So 36,000 doesn't come in here, it comes later. Regarding defacing the bond, she tells him double the amount which your friend owes and then deface the bond. So deface the bond will be the first option, 6,000 ducats. It's not 36. I have seen many of my students make the mistake of going for 36,000 ducats. Even I was confused initially. So small mistakes cost you your marks. And the last question, why does Portia suggest to Bassanio to hasten their marriage? So she tells Bassanio to hurry up with the marriage. Why? She wants Bassanio to leave for Venice with her money to save his friend's life. She understands that Antonio's life is in danger and no time can be lost. And Bassanio cannot have the authority to use her money unless he gets married to her. When he gets married to her, he becomes her lord, her husband and her lord and everything becomes his. So she asks him to hurry up and get married, and then he can take the money that is needed and rush to Venice to save his friend. So these are the answers, and I'm sure you must have got nearly all correct, if not all correct. So bye for the time being, and yes, this one, and please subscribe.